Hi everybody. So today I'm going to do a review of the NLT Study Bible. So this one is done by Tyndale, so it's going to be the NLT translation. This is the slipcase that it comes in. I will hold that right there in case you would like to pause and read that. And then here are some of the features on this Bible, but we're going to actually take a look at them on the inside. Here is our ISBN number. This one does retail for $49.99, and you can get different cover options. It will be a little bit less. But one thing I wanted to point out, this one is printed in Italy. So very nice printing. The paper and everything in this one is really nice. So this one here is a cloth over board. It is 9 1/4 inches tall by 6 3/8 inches wide, and it is 1 7/8 inches thick. Got nice blue head and tail band, just plain white page edges. And I'm not seeing any evidence of any signatures or anything in here. I can't find any evidence of any threads. So that leads me to believe that maybe this one is glued. So that I'm not 100% sure, but I couldn't find anything that told me otherwise on it. So it's kind of a dark blue denim type of a cloth over board. We've got the NLT Study Bible in the blue and white. It is embossed in there. So it does look really nice. On the spine, we have NLT Study Bible. So it looks really nice. We do have a nice ribbon. On the inside, kind of got a nice looking paper on there with a nice pattern on it. So it's really a pretty Bible. Very nice looking. So we're going to get in. We've got a couple of blank pages. We do have a presentation page. And then a spot for dedication on the back side. Now this did not come that way. That kind of just happened. As with a lot of Bibles, that kind of does. So we've got our title pages. I'm going to get you closer to here so you can see the different cover options. So lots of different options. Again, shows it's printed in Italy in 2017. We're going to have all of our contents pages. And this paper in this one is really, really nice. Has a super nice smooth feel to it. Really a slick feeling paper. We've got an introduction to the NLT, how to study the Bible with the NLT Study Bible. So it's going to give you some basic study principles and some helpful information, especially if you're new to the Bible. This would be a great one for new believers just because it's an easier to understand translation. Got a note to the readers, an introduction to the NLT. And then we're going to get into a really neat timeline, if I can get a hold of that page. All right, so this is going to be our master timeline. So I'm going to get you a little bit closer so you can see it. So we're going to have creation to Abraham, Abraham to Joshua, the time of the judges. And it's going to have a nice timeline that spans across the bottoms of these pages. And this is actually really neat the way that they did this. And this is going to span several pages. So I'll give you a little closer look in case you'd like to check that out a little bit more. But it's got, in fact, I should back up and kind of show you these here. So we've got all the time to the judges, and then it's going to kick over to Israel's monarchy, Israel's exile and return, the intertestamental period, the life of Jesus, the apostolic age, the time after the apostles. Then we've got a nice overview of the maps. And this Bible's got a ton of maps scattered throughout it. All right, and then we're going to get into the introduction to the Old Testament. And this introduction in this one is really extensive, so you get a ton of information before you ever even get into the Bible. So we're going to have the setting, the Old Testament story, the canon of the Old Testament, interpreting the Old Testament. Gives you a little further reading here, and then we've got the archaeology and the sources for Old Testament background. So it's got the development of biblical archaeology, the contribution of biblical archaeology, primary sources. And then this one's pretty neat. This is ancient texts and artifacts relating to the Old Testament. So that's got like 3/4 of a page, a full page here, and then almost another full page. Then we've got the introduction to the Pentateuch. So it's going to give us the setting, summary, authorship, historical reliability, literary genres, interpretation, meaning and message. And then it also gives us some further reading. And then we get into the introduction to Genesis. So we've already got tons of information, and we're still not to the actual biblical text as of yet. So we've got our introduction. It's going to give us a nice setting. We've got a map to give us an idea of where these things took place. We've got an outline in this inner column, a nice summary. We've got a timeline on the outer column. It's going to give us authorship, composition, literary character, meaning and message, and then we're going to get into the biblical text. So we're starting the biblical text on page 20. So the layout on this one, I like the layout because we've got double columns on the biblical text, and then we've got 3-column format on the notes. Our text on this one, on as far as the biblical text, if I can get a hold of it there, that is going to be a 9-point font up there on the top. And then in our notes, that one is an 8-point font on the notes. And then anytime we've got a article that's between the biblical text and the notes, it's going to be separated with the lines. We've got all of our cross references in the side columns here. Now this one is just black and white. There's not going to be any color in this one. But we've got a nice little chart. Our first article talking about creation. Another article on human sexuality, on biblical marriage. We've got another map. So I'm just going to flip through this and kind of show you some of the things that are in this one, because it is just absolutely packed with just awesome stuff in this. So here's one of our first little charts, and this one's actually really cool because that's the chart that gives us a good idea on the size of the ark in reference to a semi-truck. And if you're not familiar with trucks, the trailers are 53 feet long, and that's not counting the truck. Gives us like an elephant there and then a human. So it gives us a good idea of the size. So I think that is pretty neat. We've got an article on Noah. We've got pretty much a full page map here. So it's nice to have all these maps within the biblical text. So there's going to be tons of maps throughout this one. We're going to have some artist renditions. So we've got one of the Ark of the Covenant, the table for the bread of the presence. This one does happen to be thumb indexed. So the indexing on this one looks really nice. If I can get you a little closer to where you can actually see the words. So it's black stickers with the gold writing. Some people don't like thumb indexing. I do. And since I give a lot of Bibles to people that have never had one before, I think it's very helpful. So that might be part of the reason why I really like that. So these pages here have the chronology of Israel's monarchy. So it goes all the way across. It's going to be a couple pages. And there's quite a few of the different timelines like this in there. And like every introduction, you're going to have a nice map and have a lot of helpful information before you even get into the books. So this one here is going to be Solomon's Temple. Nice artist rendition there. But just tons of just awesome stuff within this one. So we've got the historical background of Israel's exile and return. So nice timeline along there. And we've got a book, another book introduction. We do have a nice double satin ribbon. The color on this ribbon looks really good against the blue on the front of that. So it is nice when you do get a ribbon, especially on a hardcover, because that's not always the case. Good article on pride versus humility. But the paper in this has such a really nice feel to it. So here's a neat article in the book of Daniel. So this is a full page article on the 70 sets of 7. So that is really neat. And some sections, like on this page here, you can see the biblical text up top, and all the rest of this is notes. So there are lots and lots of notes in this one. So if we, on the study notes, there are over 25,000 study notes. There's over 300 theme articles, 85 introductory articles, 220 plus charts, illustrations, maps, and timelines. Here's a the historical background of the intertestamental period. So it's going to talk about the Persian Empire, Judea, Egypt. Give you lots of good information there. We're going to have an introduction to the New Testament. So this is going to be really extensive. Give you a lot of stuff just like what we had in the Old Testament one. We've got an introduction to the 4 Gospels. We've got a chronology of the life of Jesus, and it's got a timeline along the bottom. We've got the NLT harmony of the 4 Gospels, so that's going to be a few pages. Then we're going to get into the introduction to the book of Matthew. So still lots of great information. So by the time you get to the New Testament, you feel like you already know quite a bit about it just by what you read. We've got a nice genealogy of Jesus article. And then here is a shot of our red letter. So this one is a red letter edition. And the red letter is actually really nice in this one. It's a nice shade of red. It's not too dark, not too light. I mean, and red could always be a little bit more on the darker red side for most people. But it is a nice shade. It doesn't bother my eyes at all. So we've got a little article on the city of Jerusalem, and then we've got a nice artist rendition. So really nicely done with that drawing. And there's just so much stuff in here that it's hard to figure out what to show you guys without the video being just crazy long. So we've got the Gentiles court. So neat drawing here. We've got the Gentiles court, the sacred enclosure. We've got the Nazarites court, the women's court. So this is a really neat picture here. So we've got the sanctuary. But yeah, nicely done. Article on the disciples of Jesus. So tons of articles throughout this one. There's also 200 Greek and Hebrew word studies that are in this one, which is just amazing. And then once we get to the end of the Bible, so we've got back to the end of Revelation, we can see that it is red letter all the way through to the end of Revelation. We're going to have a section, an introduction to the time after the apostles. It's got a nice timeline across the bottom. Then we've got all of our reference helps. It's going to give us a table of the weights and measures, all the information on the Hebrew and Greek word studies. So this is the Hebrew words, and these are 3-column formats on here. All the words are in bold. So this gives you an idea of all of the different word studies. And then it gets into the Greek word studies. So tons of information in this particular study Bible. Then we've got our features index. We're going to have a notes index. So it's nice that they give you pretty much indexes for every bit of this Bible. Then we get into the dictionary concordance. Again, we've got the 3-column format. The words, the main words that we're looking at are going to be in bold. This one does have an 84-page concordance, so decent size. Then we're going to have a few pages of just some blank Bible paper. I believe that there was 4 pages there, so more space if you wanted to take some notes. And then we're going to have 14 maps. They are full color. They are on a glossy cardstock, as you can see the light reflecting off of it there. Nice 2-page spread. And typically, if a Bible is sewn, usually you can find some of the stitching in the map section. That's usually the easiest place to find it if you can't see it from looking at the head and tail bands. And we just don't find any of that in this Bible, which does lead me to believe that it would be sewn. I mean, it lays perfectly flat. Even if we get to the very back section of the Bible, I mean, we're in the concordance. It's laying totally flat. My only concern would be whether or not it's going to hold up to years worth of use. That I'm not sure. So if you do get one, I would just definitely be a little bit more cautious with it. So here's a good little picture of the tabernacle right next to the article about it. So that would be about my only concern, would be the binding on it. I wish publishers would just stick with sewn bindings, especially for a $50 Bible. I know that you're paying mainly for the content in it, but I think that they should definitely stick to sewn editions, with the exception of maybe inexpensive paperbacks. So again, this one is the NLT Study Bible. This one is put out by Tyndale. Looks like I did have the right direction. So there is our ISBN number. Retails for $49.99. Again, you can get it in a lot of different cover options. But this Bible, even though it is glued, I would definitely purchase one of these just because of the content that it's got in it. And I would just be cautious with it and hope that it holds up. And hopefully they've got a good warranty option. That I'm not 100% sure. But I would like to thank Tyndale for sending out this copy for review. All right. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.